An ex-Marine psychiatrist attempts to rehabilitate his patients by indulging their fantasies and seeks to prove the existence of a loving God to one especially troubled inmate. Jeff, this week on That's Terrible, we're going to talk about the Ninth Configuration.
Woo!
The true sequel to The Exorcist.
Yeah. That's that one.
And that's what I told you this movie was. To be fair, that is what the writer of this and The Exorcist told us that it was.
That's what I went into it with.
Holy bananas. Where's the song? Was it Tubi? Freebie? It was all over the free places.
Yeah, it's all over those.
Yeah, I wonder why. So yeah, this real quick, this was technically the first book that William Peter Blatty wrote. And then he wrote The Exorcist, and they turned that into a movie, and everyone loved it. And he's like, hey, I'm going to redo my first book thing, and it's all tied together. It's the trilogy of faith, and the movie The Exorcist 3 is the end of it. So now I really have to see The Exorcist 3. I mean, that's...
I know. It's on my list.
I got to know. So how would you describe this movie, Jeff? What is your synopsis of this fine film?
My synopsis was a military psych ward employees and a therapist that is more insane than the patients. That's pretty much it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's kind of a reason for that. Mine would follow a very, very similar, very similar path there. So mine says, for some reason, the poster has a man on the moon with a cross, and that makes more sense than this movie does. You know, getting meta, drawn in the movie poster to the synopsis. And honestly, I don't feel like it's that this movie didn't make sense on its own. First of all, the connection to The Exorcist is the most razor thin connection I have ever heard of in my life.
I didn't even see it, to be honest.
I am about 99% sure it was just retconned to be like, oh yeah, that's this. So do you remember the astronaut that died?
Yes.
And do you remember in The Exorcist when Regan comes into the living room and her parents are having a party and she says, you're going to die up there, to an astronaut?
Yes.
Either way, that's a thing that happens, and that is supposedly the connection.
Oh my god, I thought you were going to say that Reagan had a poster of a man on the moon with a cross.
Oh man, I wish. Can you imagine watching The Exorcist and just seeing that batshit fucking thing in the background? Like, what the fuck?
I need that poster.
So I mean, did this... I mean, obviously, I think the answer is no. So this did not trigger in your brain as anything Exorcist at all?
No, not in the slightest. I thought that there was going to be some maybe like mass possession through all like
the entire place.
Like, yeah, dude, I thought it was going to go crazy, and then, yeah, no.
I mean, I would have let the bar be as low as one possession, but you know.
I mean, if you're gonna follow up The Exorcist, you got to do it right, you know.
Some flies, kind of like Human Centipede, some vomit. I don't know. Yeah. The only thing, and we'll talk a little more about this very, very much later in the episode. The only thing I can see is the through line is this whole concept of an actual afterlife, and like having faith, and you know. Maybe not the point of The Exorcist, but very much a part of The Exorcist was kind of the confirmation of demons and some sort of afterlife there because of that. And this one, you know, deals heavily in that. We have our two main characters who are kind of one believes, one doesn't, and then at the end of the movie, Mr. Herschel Green, he finally believes because of a magic coin, metal, something shows up in his car.
Yeah, it's a metal. It's a metal.
That's about it. I mean, it didn't have a ton to say about it though.
No.
You know, I mean, granted, I will give this movie credit that in 1980 this story was probably pretty fucking wild. Where it's like, oh, this is you remember that serial killer? Yeah, this is his brother. Oh wait, no, it's actually him. Oh shit. And he's a crazy person, and then they decided to let the crazy person be in charge of the crazy people because it's all part of the plan. It kind of blew me away in that aspect.
Yeah, but at the same time, I could tell somebody who's never seen it and be like, yeah, this is a Murder, She Wrote movie. I'm like, oh, it makes sense. That makes more sense than this is the sequel to The Exorcist.
Look, man, don't you denigrate Murder, She Wrote like that.
No, I'm just saying it would fit more within that universe rather than The Exorcist.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like, and I'm not a particularly big One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest fan.
Yeah.
It felt like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Like, it's about a psych ward, and it's about like drama in the psych ward. And then this dude kills a bunch of people at a bar because he knows how to fight. And he's a serial killer. Yeah, like that's I mean, it gets into some of that, you know, there's some death and stuff in this movie. So, okay, Jeff, what did you count in this movie?
Dude, nothing. Like
ridiculous
like
license plates. Everything. One, the license plate says NASA on it.
That's what I'm saying though. There's like one of everything.
Where do I get me one of those?
Someone's got to have it here. There's no way.
Cool fight scenes. One. Yeah, man. It's so I will obviously take the blame for this one. As everyone knows, I made you guess what it was. So I picked it, and I went in completely blind, like just completely and totally blind. And came out just as blind.
I'm not sure what I watched, but 2 hours of my life are gone.
Dude, it was so funny because it like in the beginning, it very much is this like comedy thing. It's like a dark comedy. There's like one of the dudes is trying to make a Shakespeare play with cats and dogs. And it's playing on all these people who are having these mental breakdowns. Presumably, I don't know if they ever state it officially, but presumably from war, fucked them up real good.
Oh,
and it has this like almost Monty Python style comedy thing going on. And it does take a turn. I mean, there's some like flashbacks to Vietnam and our serial killer killing a young boy and everything. And like, there's some shit that goes down. It just doesn't, like, when it started to turn, I thought it was going to like fully turn.
I know. I thought it was going to take off.
Yeah. And it kind of never did. I mean, there's, like you said, that fight was equal parts cool and also hilarious because it's 1980.
Oh, yeah.
There's a biker gang trying to rape our protagonist here, and dude just kills him with his bare hands.
Yeah, no.
And then they get back to the the castle where they're all kind of hanging out, and it's guy just like wraps himself in a blanket and is just talking nonsense basically about God and stuff. Yeah, man.
I knew I was in trouble. I knew I was in trouble when that intro song came on. The intro song and the 15 minutes of dialogue over B-roll film.
I sincerely thought I put the wrong movie on.
Yes. No, I was like, I don't think so.
Is this fucking Three's Company? What the fuck is happening here?
I think I downloaded the wrong version of this.
It's yeah, man. I I saw this marked as a horror movie in several places.
Yeah.
Welcome to the new age of That's Terrible. We're not talking about horror movies at all.
No, we just have ones that are wrongly put in the wrong genre.
Look, there's plenty of space to talk about just bad movies. I didn't think that this was particularly even good on its own. Other than, like I said, I thought there was some interesting stuff inside of the story and everything. It just, like, it didn't really come together in a satisfying way in the end. Like, the whole thing was, so the question of human goodness, right? So, Kane, our Kane, and then Cutshaw, who is Scott Wilson, Herschel Green. They're having this discussion, and basically the proof in God would be an example of true human goodness. And right. The conclusion we're led to jump to is that Kane, fresh from his bar fight, who has been severely injured, refuses to get help, and by doing so commits suicide from his injuries.
Pretty much. Yeah.
And that is the proof of human goodness?
Yeah.
How?
Because he felt bad about killing so many people when he was in war.
I mean, sure, I could see that. But also, like, pride is a sin, is it not? And I feel like you're like, man, I'm so hurt, but I got to keep my pride intact. It's one of the 7, is it not? I could be wrong. I don't know. I have not seen the proof of human goodness, so I can't say for sure. Yeah, it's just weird to me. I mean, there's a literal conversation about, like, a soldier throwing himself on a grenade to protect his squad mates. Like, that's true human sacrifice right there.
Absolutely.
And
Steve Rogers.
And then the actual example is, I just let myself bleed to death. Okay, man.
I did good.
You also just killed a bunch of dudes.
Nah, I did good.
Yeah. I thought the acting was good.
Yeah, it was definitely believable, especially from the psych ward attendees. I thought that was believable, especially that scene in the office where he's kind of going ape shit when he first meets. Gotta keep on wanting to say Cutthroat. What was his name?
Cutworth?
Cutworth?
How did I forget it already? Cutshaw.
Yeah. When he first meets him, that was pretty wacky.
There was a lot of wackiness, that's for sure. Like I said, man, just comedy up and down this place.
No, I know. Every time he talked about the play with the dogs and the cats, I couldn't help myself.
And then that's the guy who's like, yo, Kane, I think you might be crazy too. Foreshadowing. Nice.
I just thought it was funny. When he's just like, this is why I hire professionals. Then he's like kicking a poodle out the door.
It was legitimately funny, man. Like, not at all. And to be fair, I had to do some digging to find out that this is considered the sequel to The Exorcist. It's not.
Yeah, I would assume so.
It's not like it's on the poster. The 9th configuration, the true sequel to The Exorcist. Forget about The Exorcist 2. You know you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this has made me incredibly interested in reading the book. Like, because this, I mean, this is the author, right? So the trilogy of books is his trilogy, and I'm sure it's not going to be, vastly different, but
yeah,
maybe it's somewhat different. Maybe
I don't
maybe
know.
it speaks to that universe a little more. I don't know for sure.
I would think so, because I mean, you look at The Shining and then the book, and it's like there's some key points to Stanley Kubrick's movie, but then at the same time, it is a pretty different take.
I mean, yeah, I will give you that one, but also it was kind of a different take on purpose, and I mean, the writer of the book literally directed this movie, right? So like, it should be.
That's even more suspicious.
Exactly. So I don't know. All I know is the original title of the book was Twinkle Twinkle Killer Kane, which I think is a bad name for a book.
I think it makes more sense to the movie than the Ninth Configuration.
I feel like it gives away the story of the movie here. You're like, oh, okay, I bet you that's not actually Kane's brother. That's actually Kane.
Yeah. Maybe.
If it had that name. I remember when I went down this super deep rabbit hole, I looked up the Ninth Configuration. And this is, again, maybe not anything to do with anything. The Ninth Configuration itself refers to the amount of protein molecules that came together to form the Earth, and the improbability based on mathematics that the Earth was created by chance based on the billions of protein molecules that had to come together in order to create this madness. So it's a giant rumination on faith and God, and it didn't stick that landing, and there was nothing really to the contrary. There was no argument happening here.
Yeah.
I mean, there on screen there was, but not like philosophically. It was kind of just two people going back and forth. Like, yeah, what about the guy who jumps on the grenade? Well, that's not human goodness because of this or whatever. Like, yeah, man, I don't. And then its ultimate point. Oh yeah, sometimes spirits will just put medals on your car when you step outside.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I was afraid that we would not have much to say about this, and I feel like we don't have too much to say about this.
Not too much. No, it was a drawn out story. I think it could have, if it was shortened down, it would have been a little bit better.
It was almost 2 hours.
Yeah. It's just it felt like it. It felt like 3. It's just one of those movies that if it was just told in a shorter timeline and kind of sped up a little bit, I feel like it could have been a little bit better. Because even the character development that they put into it didn't really matter as much to the storyline. Besides our 2 main characters.
Yeah, because they explored a bunch of people. Not explored, but they showed you a bunch of people who had different levels of mental disorders in one way or another, but they didn't factor into the story at all. I mean, honestly, the only reason this was set in a psych ward is because Kane himself was in that same psych ward.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, let's put him in charge because we need to indulge his fantasies, sort of thing. I don't know. It was weird seeing a young Scott Wilson. Like, he looks exactly like he does, and just younger, and that was kind of weird.
That was extremely weird.
And even Stacy Keach, who was the main colonel.
Yeah,
and he was Commander Malloy in Escape from L.A., and that was one of my favorite things of his. Interestingly enough, in my rabbit hole, if I said Richard Fell, do you remember which guy that was? He was one of the colonels.
No.
Okay, he was one of the colonels. The actor's name is Ed Flanders, which I find hilarious.
Okay.
He was a priest in The Exorcist 3. So he's a different person. He's a different character. But that same actor came back for The Exorcist 3 just to further tie it all together. But I believe yeah, and I was like, so the Exorcist 3 is kind of about a police lieutenant uncovering some serial killer stuff. So maybe there is something Maybe there's something yet to come. It leads into question the patience of a psych ward. So I don't know, man. Maybe it all comes full circle. It's
who knows.
Oh wait, Scott Wilson's also in that movie. Oh no, shit! A bunch of people are in that movie as different people.
Got a pretty cast, but
no, I mean in The Exorcist 3, a lot of people came back for it, which is interesting to say the very least.
Yeah, no, that movie's been on my radar. I've been told multiple times to definitely check that one out. That is a lot of people's favorite. Some people say that it's better than the first one, that's a high bar.
It seems like people that are just trying to get a rise out of people. Like when Jeff says Phantom Menace is good, nobody believes that.
I do, and I don't know, probably like 56% of America. Just saying.
That's an oddly specific number.
I haven't looked it up or anything.
56.5% of Americans
love the Jar Jar.
Well, was that its own question, or did you just extrapolate that from thought the Phantom Menace was okay?
No, dude, it's fact.
was that poll taken before or after the prequel trilogy?
I don't know. I just know it's fact.
Okay.
By it.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, no. We gotta check out Exorcist 3 though. That's it's definitely one.
Yeah, I mean we're not gonna do it next week because that would be too
no.
That'd be too obvious.
I need a break for that writer. For a while.
Can we real quickly talk about again, this rabbit hole seems never ending and I kind of love it. I didn't realize at the time, mostly because I wasn't paying enough attention and I was 14 years old. The Exorcist, the beginning, and what was it? Dominion, the prequel to The Exorcist.
Oh, yeah.
Those both came out within a year of each other. Okay.
Yeah.
Both starring one Stellan Skarsgård. We have let's see here. I really should have collated this all together. They both have William Peter Blatty credited as a writer, as well as Caleb Carr, who is another person, and William Wisher. So, and they're directed by different people. Now, I'm not going to spoil the rabbit hole ending here.
Okay.
But they made 2 Exorcist movies at the exact same time, starring the exact same guy, written by the same people. For reasons. And it's absolutely wild to me. It's like this encapsulation of... You remember when Hollywood was real big on like... There was like Dante's Peak, and then there was Volcano in like the same year. Like they were real big on, you have your Volcano movie, we have ours. Like,
yeah,
this was kind of that. And it fascinates me to no end because they're both prequels to the same movie. And now we just want to watch them both at the exact same time.
Ooh,
like side by side. just because. So anyway, look into that one if you ever feel like you want to I don't know, just be weirded out by the fact that Exorcist sequels keep happening or new down. Exorcist movies keep happening, and with the exception of apparently 3, none of them have been any good. Yeah, I would not play this game. So there's that.
Can you imagine just the part that's you have to be the choreographer for all these animals?
That'd be the best part of the entire game, dude. I'm saving right before that happens so I can experience that again.
I mean, that and the bar fight would be like worth it in the game. Otherwise, That'd be terrible.
Just one of those games where you're just walking around and everyone's just yelling bullshit in your ear and like, well, what about God? And you're like, I'm just gonna walk this way.
No, that'd be terrible.
Recommendation. Nah. Like I said, I thought there were parts that were interesting, but I don't think it's, especially now, I don't think it holds up. I don't think it holds up at all. No. But that's a bad Exorcist movie, Jeff.
It's terrible.
What would you say if I said I watched a good Exorcist movie?
I'd be about it. I like possession movies.
Man, that sucks because that's only what I would say if I did watch a good Exorcist movie. The Exorcist Believer, Jeff.
No.
I don't want to spoil anything.
Okay.
I don't want to spoil anything. I'm just going to say a few words out loud that, mean things, but are maybe not so specific.
Okay.
So one, a quote from William Friedkin, who most recently passed away. William Friedkin once said to me, Ed, the guy who made these new Halloween sequels is about to make one of my movie, The Exorcist. That's right. My signature film is about to be extended by the man who made Pineapple Express. I don't want to be around when that happens, but if there's a spirit world and I come back, I plan to possess David Gordon Green and make his life a living hell. William Friedkin, not a fan of the idea of this happening. Okay. So Blumhouse, who, man, you remember when Blumhouse was like the original A24?
Yeah.
Like they put out like so much stuff that was like really under the radar. They spent $400 million just to secure the filming rights.
Holy shit.
And with that comes a guarantee that there will be 3 of these.
Oof.
Yes. And then lastly, they had reached out to Ellen Burstyn, Chris McNeil from the original, and they wanted to pay her money to be in the movie. And she said no. Oh. And then they said, what if we paid you double? And then she said, sure, why not?
Oh my God.
She gave all that money to her charity. She wanted nothing to do with this. And they just, like, I don't know what the dollar amount was, but they straight up just doubled it.
I mean, I feel like it'd be quite a bit.
And here is a spoiler. She doesn't need to be in this movie. You may have guessed that already. She does not need to be in this movie.
Yeah, I would guess it would just be to get people who watched the original to come in and see the new one.
And like, even so, why wouldn't you put that much effort into Linda Blair? Into fucking Reagan? And granted, she's in this movie too. She's in it even less than Ellen Burstyn is.
See, that doesn't make much sense because in the original, she didn't do much. Like she wasn't as much of a help.
She was just there, and she even says in this movie, like, I wasn't there for The Exorcist. I was consoling an astronaut who my daughter told was gonna die. So I say that because there are parts of this movie that feel shockingly cheap. There are some CGI moments in this movie that look rough. Like,
damn it.
Fucking bad.
Dude, I was so excited for this movie.
There has to be something fundamental that I'm missing about David Gordon Green's movies, because with the exception of that first Halloween, the second one, the third one, and now this movie, I feel like they're so close. Like, they're so close to being something really cool. And it just doesn't get there. It just doesn't get there. And so in relation to like the Ninth Configuration, this movie felt like another kind of drama movie on the idea of faith and people who lose faith and all that, and why people have faith. It actually has some of my favorite discussions on, for instance, like why people go to church. It comes out extremely awkwardly from Ellen Burstyn. And she has this moment where she's just like monologuing, and it does not come out good.
Oof.
And then they're like, well, I guess we got to have some Exorcist stuff in here somewhere. And there are moments of this movie that are genuinely creepy. There are some cool, some cool Exorcist business happening.
Yeah.
There's a neat play, a neat twist on the whole head spinning thing.
Oh God.
But it just like the ending I thought was okay. There's a kind of plot twist that happens that I thought was interesting at the very least.
Huh.
I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
In hindsight, I maybe should have seen at least something like that coming. But this movie's slightly shorter than the Ninth Configuration. It's about an hour and 50 minutes. You spend maybe the first 30, 45 minutes, and it's this drama about two parents and a father looking for their lost children. Like, it doesn't have anything to do with an exorcism at that point. They're lost in the woods, and there's a search party happening and all this stuff. And then it kind of comes together, and it comes together in a really weird way to where, obvious spoiler here, they're about to perform an exorcist. And they contact a Catholic priest, and they have the moment where he's, talking to, the higher ups, and hey, this is why I want you to sanction this exorcism. And then one of the characters just goes off and talks to like a voodoo. I think it's technically hoodoo, but like a spiritual lady who is also gonna perform this exorcist. But like, is that kosher with the Catholics? Or are they just gonna be like, yeah, come on in. The more the merrier.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's just weird, but it had really cool ideas. I mean, like a pair of possessed girls, and one of them comes from a really religious family, and one of them, her father lost his faith because he had faith in God, and then his wife died while she was pregnant with their daughter and all this stuff. And like, there's some interesting stuff here. It just doesn't come together.
Yeah, the trailer looked so damn good. It looked so good.
It had a lot of the time it had the feeling of the trailers. It didn't feel like a comedy. It didn't, it had the tone that you're looking for. And I thought a majority of the actors and actresses, especially the young girls, did a really, really good job. I think it started to fall apart for me when Ellen Burstyn showed up. Because it just felt like they took a hammer and a wedge and just put her in there, man. They're like, we need name recognition here, even though we're not going to put her in any trailers or on the poster or anything. Like,
God.
Yeah, it feels like she turned down money and then agreed to double the money to donate to her own charity. She's like totally phoning it in, it feels like. And just the storyline centered around her sucks. And then they have to so the reason she's there is post The Exorcist, she did a bunch of research on a bunch of different cultures' exorcisms. Okay. She wrote this book, and it's become a bestseller, and she's like this expert on exorcisms, even though she's not, she does not perform them, right? She's very staunch about like, I don't perform them, I just know about them. And apparently the existence of this book really pissed off Reagan. So Reagan has not talked to her since the book came out.
Okay. Makes sense.
What does that have to do with any of this bullshit?
Absolutely nothing. No, you say Reagan's name.
You can already tell that is absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And I won't get into, how they remove her from the story. She's, like I said, she's not a central part of the story. She is, once again, not at the exorcism. And now that I'm thinking about it, there's some parallels with like some of those Halloween movies where like especially the second one, where your old famous actress that you brought back is sidelined for the entire movie.
Yeah.
And well, mostly the third one too. I mean, even the first one, the whole point was getting to her, right? But yeah, man, I don't know. Like, I thought it was close. There are so many times where I was watching this movie where I'm like, if they just did this slightly differently or something like that. Like, yeah.
Maybe they'll learn from their mistakes with the second one because they're making 2 more.
Maybe it's
regardless.
Yeah, maybe it's the opposite of the Halloween movies.
Yeah, they start off really bad.
They just need like another editor or something. I don't know. Like the idea is there because even like conceptually, I like the idea of that last Halloween movie trying to be this sort of like torch passing thing. They just didn't explain why. They didn't explain why. And even the second one, like, I like the idea of a whole city revolting against Michael.
Yeah.
They just didn't do it very well. And even when they're, beating the shit out of him and he gets pissed off and like kills them all, like, they didn't do that good either. That wasn't satisfying at all. And again, especially on the heels of that Texas Chainsaw movie where that motherfucker just barrels through that bus. Oh, that's what they should have done.
No, that's what every movie needs.
Yeah. So like, I don't know. It's just close. Anyway, that's The Exorcist Believer in theaters now.
Part
1 of 3. Yeah, I cannot wait till it comes out and you can watch it and we can talk about it.
Yeah, no, I'm still gonna watch it. I'm still down for possession movies.
Once that happens, I will also watch it again. Because I won't remember otherwise.
All right. Let's talk about some good movies that you saw.
Well, I was gonna throw it over to you, so we can kind of ping pong here. Okay.
Dude, I had a lot. It's been a while. Had to get a whole construction team in here to make this background, and it took what, a month.
Hammers and
hammers. Oh. All right, I'll start off with a really good one that you've been waiting for. I watched Talk to Me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to talk about a good possession movie? I liked it. I'm not ecstatic. I enjoyed it. I would definitely watch it again. I would even own it if it came down to the correct price. But
if it was
I thought it was good. God, dude, yeah, $30 for a movie just is fucking steep. I'm cheap.
Yeah, but it's only $60 if it comes with the hand, That's the thing.
Still trying to get me to buy that hand.
That's the thing. I'm trying to justify it to myself.
Well, we'll go half. You buy the hand, I'll keep the movie.
All right. Deal. I did just sell something on eBay, so we're good.
There you go.
I'm flush with cash for at least the next 5 minutes.
No, man, it was good. I enjoyed pretty much everything about it. The acting was on point. The shots were on point. You could definitely feel the A24 in it, and just the horror aspects of it. It brought just a little bit of that Hereditary vibe, that just tension on the end of your seat. It just kind of had a little bit of everything that I enjoyed pretty well.
Yeah, man, there's so much, like, there's so many moments in this movie that are just stuck in my brain, right? Like, the opening scene, I can see that so vividly in my brain, and he fucking jams the knife in his forehead. Oh my God. And I loved how it was paced. Like, it wasn't just total horror. It wasn't just total dread. I mean, there's that, because, like, they love playing with this hand. They love this. And there's that, like, montage where they're all just doing it and they're all just having a great fucking time. And the whole time you're like, man, this is going to go seriously wrong at some point, but I'm loving this.
So bad.
I am loving all of this, man.
Yeah.
And then, when it goes wrong, that was like some fucked up shit. And, like, they choose their gore very carefully. They choose it was all this dread and mystery, like the whole time you're like, well, what the fuck is this? Like, what is going on here? And you never really get answers, but I thought the ending was a pretty cool, like, here's a big hint about what's actually going on here.
Yeah. I liked it. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad that I don't think this one needed that A24 twist that they always do. Like it was a big reveal. Like this was a very subtle twist that I think was chef's kiss.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that one.
The biggest negative for me was, and I think if I were to compare this to one movie, it would be It Follows, just because it had that same kind of opening scene, you know, pandemonium, death, and then it kind of goes in. When they bring the guy back, when they bring the first dude back, they find him at a bus station, and it's like a nothing scene. They're like, "Yo, dude, help us," and he's like, "No, dude, just stop playing with the fucking hand. You killed my fucking brother. See you later." You're like, okay, that was a big waste of time. How did they even find him at that bus stop in the first place? I don't know. It's just like, we need to go find him. Cool, I know a bus stop. Like that was the worst part of the movie for me, because it didn't feel, A, it didn't feel natural, and B, it just didn't feel necessary.
Yeah. You know? No, I agree. Just another reason to bring him back. But yeah, highly recommend. God, dude, I watched so many A24 films. They should really sponsor me at this point.
Let's get the hat.
I'm about to get a tattoo, dude.
I know, man. It's going to be soon.
Dude, if they send me one of every movie for life, I will get a tattoo as big as they want, and whatever font, doesn't even matter. I'm shouting that out right now. Someone that's listening knows someone in that company.
Right on the forehead.
Let's get it done. Ah, fuck it.
Oh, dude, they have gym shorts now.
You're still on that shop. God, I've ruined you.
I open it every time we talk. I know I said last time, I'm for sure gonna sign up for that membership. They have a kids section.
Oh shit. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. I saw Lady Bird, which according to some, I think is Rotten Tomatoes, they said that was the #1 A24 film.
I think that was the first one of theirs that won an Oscar.
Yeah,
maybe even the only one at this point. I'm not sure. You know, the horror movies don't usually win Oscars, so.
Yeah, it's not a horror movie.
Yeah. Sorry, I meant most of their stuff is not necessarily even eligible for Oscars.
Yeah, no. But this is, I think I described it. I think I was talking to you about it before, but this is like the Napoleon Dynamite of A24 films. In my eyes. It's still enjoyable. It's still watchable. Does the story need to be told? Not really, but it's enjoyable. What else I got? I got Martyrs.
Ooh, like
that was interesting.
The original Martyrs, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna watch. I just found out that they remade it, so I'll check that one out. My expectations are not high of the remake, just because the original was pretty decent.
That's
interesting
a fucked
story.
Up movie, man.
It's very fucked up.
That's
yes, I admit to that.
I mean, and that is in this pantheon of like Martyrs, Inside, and I think it was Inside. And there's another one that came out like around the same time. All this like foreign horror that like kind of fucked me up for life.
Yeah, no, that was a pretty fucked up one. So I'm curious on what they did to change it. I watched one. I finally found an A24 film that I thought was such an utter waste of time, and I will never revisit it. And that would be Climax.
Okay, yeah, I could have seen that coming. You see what I did there? See what I did there?
CUM. Okay.
I think we talked about this, right?
Yeah, because I told you that I was gonna watch it, and then you're like, "Oh, interesting choice." Okay.
Yeah, because this director, Gaspar Noé, I think No is how you pronounce it. I don't know. He's French.
Okay.
He's the one who did Irreversible, and I know we've talked about Irreversible several times.
Yeah.
But he is out there, man. And Climax was kind of the sequel. There was another movie he did a couple years before called Love, which was like a very like erotic drama type movie. Kind of, it seemed to me like he was just trying to push boundaries. And I mean, he's French. He's French. Okay. He's allowed to do that.
And
because like before that, his stuff had like very very psychedelic feels. Like honestly, I think if you were to if you want to see if you like any of his movies at all, you should watch Enter the Void.
Okay.
That's like his. That's my favorite of his.
Okay.
But I haven't seen any of his newer stuff. I know he was involved in that Travis Scott movie.
Oh God.
I don't know how. But yeah, he seemed to take this sort of like erotic turn for at least a couple of movies there, and Climax is one of them if I recall. I have not seen Climax. I should clarify. That was all based on my knowledge of that dude as a director. Like, okay, you might not be super into this one.
No, I mean, knowing you'd probably find some beauty in it about just how it's wild and the story's crazy, but in my eyes of it, it just, God, what a waste of time. A lot of stupid decisions. It's one of those movies that you're just like, why the fuck are you running up the stairs? Like, why would you do that? It's one of those where you're just mad at it pretty much, and it has a lot of that, and yeah, just a lot of dialogue that shouldn't have been used, and yeah, I don't know, that one kind of bummed me out, but and then it didn't go too great after that, because then I watched have you ever heard of Woodshock?
No.
So it's got Kirsten Dunst in it, which I thought was kind of crazy, just because I think the last movie I saw her in was Small Soldiers, but
wow.
Yeah,
not even Agent Cody Banks. No, I'm kidding. That was not her.
That was totally tough.
Spider-Man?
Oh, I guess Spider-Man. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. It always goes to Small Soldiers just because the girl next door kind of a thing. But
Bring It On?
Yeah, I've never seen that. That's okay. I'll watch Climax again. Thank you.
There you go. I knew I'd get you there.
Yeah, Woodshock is very artsy. It's a very, very artsy A24 film. It's the core of the movie is basically the sale of marijuana, and how she's able to find this tree or plant out in the woods, basically in her backyard, that she can fuse with the marijuana that is basically an assisted suicide drug. So it's her mom is kind of sick, and she comes up with this thing. She works at a dispensary, and I'm going to tell you right now, not a lot happens in this movie, but it is visually appealing.
Okay.
So yeah, kind of crazy.
I'm gonna do this. Dude. I'm gonna do this all day. I think okay. So how did you feel about that movie? Like, okay. Now, first of all, how did that movie feel? was it like depressed? Was it just like some acid trip? Was it like, like what was the emotion of that movie?
Almost, I would say numb. So you're watching it, you're entertained, you have this underlying feeling of depression and just a dark cloud, basically. But then you're just kind of just sitting there, just numbed out.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
I was gonna say, speaking of Kirsten Dunst movies, a couple of years ago, 2011, she was in a movie called Melancholia, which I personally think is fantastic. If my memory serves correctly, and this might be somewhat off, our main character Justine is having a wedding, and there is an asteroid coming towards Earth, and everyone knows about it. Everyone knows about it. So it is an extremely depressing movie, but it's got a lot about just kind of accepting fate and existentialism and all that kind of stuff. It's a Lars von Trier movie, and he's one of those foreign directors that I mostly love. But in the Gaspar Noé sense, he also did that Nymphomaniac movie, which was basically just like, remember Escape from Tomorrow?
Yeah.
It was kind of like it's classified as an erotic art film, and it's like 4 fucking hours long. Like, this dude is another wild ass man. But he also did Antichrist, which is one of my favorite depressing movies of all time. Like, that movie's fucked. I don't know that I can ever watch that movie again, honestly. Now that I have a child, I don't know that I could ever watch that movie again. But yeah, some fucked up shit. Anyway.
Oof.
Woodchuck, I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah. I think it's on Paramount/Showtime. So I watched it. I also watched one that I went into completely blind, never heard of it. Found out as an A24 film. Was like, fuck it. It's called How to Talk to Girls at Parties.
Okay, you were telling me about this.
Oh, dude, oh my god, dude, fucking mind blown.
Another one I've never heard of.
Dude, it needs to be out there. It needs to be talked about. I mean, basically, the plot is socially awkward guy who's very into anarchy, and it's set in London during the punk era. He finds a girl at a party. He likes her. Figures out she's not from this world. Like, it's wild. And the ending, oh, dude, it's just one of those endings that just fucking sticks with you.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I teared. I teared a little bit.
Okay. One of those.
Yeah. Yeah, it was one of those. Yeah, dude, I teared a little bit. Speaking of tears, I watched The Flash.
Hey, tears of joy and beauty. Love that Nick Cage.
Best, I think I described it to my uncle in the best possible way. Imagine you're starving, you haven't eaten in hours. You're like, fuck it, dude. Finally got enough money. I'm gonna go get some fucking food. And a burger and fries sound amazing. You order the food. You know the burger's gonna be bomb. The waiter preemptively drizzles ketchup all over your fries. And you get the food and you're like, fuck, I'm like really hungry and I'm still gonna eat it, but damn it.
This is not what I want.
This is not exactly what I wanted. And that's how I felt.
I mean, I get it. I get it. I enjoyed the hell out of that movie.
No, I loved it.
Yeah.
The storyline is fantastic. That I didn't like Ezra Miller as the Flash from the Justice League or any of the little cameos that he did.
Really?
Just because I was super invested in the TV show. And so I think his name was Alex or Alan Grant. Something like that. And dude, he did fantastic as the Flash. So once you have that image of that superhero, it's kind of hard to change it. But I thought he did really well.
Yeah.
I thought he did extremely well in the movie.
The guy you're thinking of is Grant Gustin, by the way.
Grant, okay.
Yeah,
I was glad.
Yeah,
Grant,
you were partially there. Dude, I think that it is fucked up from a lore standpoint. And I don't know how invested you were in the Flash TV show throughout, but Grant Gustin is the one who gave Barry Allen the name The Flash. He's the one who gave it to him. This version of The Flash. And
okay.
And they have this scene that pulls together all these old rough CGI versions of actors and stuff. And they literally have a guy playing like the first Flash who never played the first Flash. He played a completely separate character in the Flash TV show, but they never have Grant Gustin in there. They don't even, like, that's the perfect time. Just throw him in there.
Yeah.
Just throw him in there.
So good.
That was just like a bummer thing. You know, it didn't hurt the movie. The more I think about it, the more I think that those fucking weird CG moments did hurt the movie. Those babies, man. They should have made that anything but babies.
Dogs, something like Jesus. No, dude, that's so bad.
Like, I thought that scene was fun, but no.
No.
Make it dogs or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Michael
I
fucking
will say
Keaton, though.
that. Oh my god, dude. Oh my god, he's so good. Oh, he's so good. I'm so glad he's in that. And my wife's favorite Batman was from Batman and Robin, so George Clooney. And the ending made her so fucking excited.
I was like, what's coming? What's happening here? Like, because you can tell something is coming, right? And that was so wild, dude. I don't know. There were really, really cool ideas in this movie.
Yeah.
I first of all, I loved how they made it look like Michael Keaton could actually move and fight. Like that looked believable. Just like them explaining how Barry can go through walls, like when it does that like zoom in and it shows the molecules and stuff. That was really cool. Like a really brief thing that just explains all of that for somebody who never really considered it, or someone who was like, well, how the fuck is that working? Really good moments of comedy. Like really good moments of comedy in this movie. To that, like, I really liked when the two Barrys were kind of interacting with each other. Because, like, young Barry was definitely like Justice League Barry, but this Barry was like a little more grown. You know, he was just ever so slightly more mature.
Yeah. It's good. Good back and forth.
It's just a weird decision to revisit that exact same fight scene from Man of Steel, though. Like, do something new. I get it. Multiverse. I understand. Everybody's doing multiverse stuff right now, but a little more invention with like the climax, especially, would have been really cool. And then
dude.
Then we have fucking Wonder Woman showing up for 4 seconds just to fulfill the contract or something. I don't know, but I swear to God, man, every single time that soundtrack hits, I get fucking pumped.
I know, it's so good. It's so good.
Overall, I didn't think it deserved the hate that a lot of people were throwing at it.
No, and it's not. It's similar to what Venom was. A lot of people fucking hate that movie. They absolutely despise it. I loved it. I will rewatch that so many times. It's such a good movie. I don't care that it doesn't tie into everything else. But it was such a good movie. And I'll probably do the same with The Flash, to be honest. It's still a good movie. It's enjoyable. It's entertaining. So, let's see. Let's keep going on with the good movies. Disaster Artist.
What a wild thing, dude.
That was fun.
Just the fact that even got made. Yeah. No, I love it. Yeah. I don't think we need to say much about that. That deserves to be seen for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I saw The Lobster.
Okay.
That was a fun one.
Yeah. It's different at the very least.
Definitely. It had I liked the humor in it. There were some just lines of dialogue, like where she's explaining how once you find your person, you upgrade to the couple's room, and then if you stay there for 2 weeks, and then you upgrade to the yacht, and then if you continue, or if you start to argue and start to yell at each other, we'll give you a child, because everybody in the world seems to think that solves all your problems. And I died laughing. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Have you ever seen The Good Place?
Yeah.
Yeah, it had like a Good Place vibe to me.
Yeah, no, I thought that was fun. Ending was kind of fucked, but that got pretty fucked. Dude, did you ever see Slice?
I don't think
it
so.
Had Chance the Rapper in it.
Oh no. Mm-mm.
You should watch that. I won't say too much, just because it's a pretty fun movie. It's got a ton of people in it. I think I told one of our friends to watch it, and I explained it to him as the A24 version of a Disney Channel made-for-TV Halloween movie. It is exactly that. It is fun. It is corny. You could see the ending a fucking mile away. It is no twist by any means.
That was definitely on my list. I just never got around to it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. Definitely recommend. I watched The Black Coat's Daughter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of a wild movie.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I watched one that was super fucked. Another A24 film, False Positive.
Well, that's another one.
Dude. Oh my God. I mean, I don't know. Us being parents and stuff, like maybe it just hits different, but
Oh no.
oh dude.
I don't like where this is going.
This one fucked me up. That was one that yeah, I had to sit on for a while. It almost had the same feeling as like an Ari Aster movie.
Sweet.
It was fucked. Apparently it's exclusively owned to Hulu.
Okay.
Don't know.
They paid somebody something.
Yeah. Who's the James Bond from like our generation?
Brosnan?
Yeah.
Yeah, Pierce Brosnan.
So he plays a fertility doctor that has come up with this super special combo that has like a 99 percentile of getting anybody pregnant.
Anybody, you say?
Yeah. I mean, anybody who wants to be pregnant. And the only other actor I can think of. Maybe. Yeah. The only other actor that I recognized was the father of the couple who ends up getting impregnated. I just recognized him from Charlie's Angels Full Throttle. He's the Irish ex-boyfriend.
Justin Theroux?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that was the only other actor in it. But oh fuck, man.
That sounds so familiar. It sounded familiar until I saw that Alana Glazer's in it.
Like, yeah, I think it came out in came out in 2021, I believe. So a couple years ago.
That is lost to time, so we will never get those years back.
Yeah. Yeah, but
okay.
Dude, yeah, watch that one because holy shit, that was good. But that kind of ends my list.
I feel like I'm gonna forget something.
Okay.
Just because I did so much. So I watched No One Will Save You.
Oh.
You seen the buzz about that one?
God, dude, I want to watch it so bad.
Oh my god, dude, it's so good. Like I don't want to.
That's what I heard.
I really don't want to. I've been trying to inflate things a little less. To use fewer superlatives.
Yeah.
It's just really cool, and I mean, like, it's artistic and also like a freaky alien invasion movie, and there's maybe like 25 words spoken the entire movie.
No way.
That just like it kind of just like blows my mind, especially in we're talking about The Exorcist where they just throw these lines out there for like no fucking reason. Some of that sort of stuff, like there is no reason for this character to be talking, yet here they are talking. Like that stuff happens quite a bit. And in this one, it's like, oh, this girl is trying to hide from this alien. She's not gonna be saying words out loud, right? She's not even like uttering like fuck, shit, any of that stuff. She's just terrified as fucking hell. Really cool. Really took me by surprise. I mean, well, at least once it dropped and I saw everyone talking about it, I'm like, okay, this is probably gonna be good. And but yeah, no, I think that's absolutely worth a watch. And we don't really get too many of that style of movie anyway. Like a lot of alien movies are like just straight sci-fi or something like that, or like actual Alien, where it's like horror sci-fi. This is just like down to earth horror, alien invasion, some fucked up shit.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
It's on my list.
I also made an effort to see Saw X, Saw 10.
Oh.
I'm a sucker for these movies. I'm a sucker for these movies.
Yes, I do.
Most people listening now know that I'm a sucker for these movies. It was actually really good, man. Like,
really?
Like, I'm a sucker for these movies and then I watch all of them, and I absolutely recognize that, like, Spiral sucked. And even Jigsaw was not great.
Okay.
It was really inventive. It was kind of it's kind of like a bullshit thing to say, but it was kind of a step backwards, right? Like they want to go back to the roots sort of thing. And this is still the same creative team that was responsible for like the last 5 of these movies. It wasn't like somebody new came over. It was just, hey, let's do this again. And like, we need Tobin Bell. Like, we need Jigsaw. and so it's like pseudo prequel. The beginning of the movie deals quite a bit with it's one of those movies that like switches gears completely. A lot of the beginning of this movie, like 30 minutes, even maybe pushing even a little bit further than that, is John Jigsaw dealing with his cancer, which was the big thing. That was like the thing that took him out in the movie series, right? Like that was kind of the impetus of the entire thing. And he signs up with this like experimental treatment, and he pays him a bunch of money. And you're like, oh, is he just going to get cured? And like, this is like setting a new timeline where he's just healthy, but also still doing the same shit. Like, no, those people fucked him over, and he was already Jigsaw. And he's like, well,
oh shit,
you're done for. And so it still had that kind of hook that those Saw movies have. You know, like the first one was just the two guys. There was the one like throughout the hotel, you know, there was the one that was like public, you know, they always have this like hook, right? And this one sort of did too. It was a bunch of different people in the same room, one by one, going through their games.
Oh shit.
And then it sort of flips it on its head a little bit. Like I won't say why or what happens, but there's like some really cool stuff that happens. And there is the token Saw twist, which I saw coming about 1.5 miles away, but it still satisfied the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Like it's that, somebody thinks they did something. I really want to see them realize that they did not do a goddamn thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it didn't quite have that. I mean, I think a lot of people's problems with the older Saw movies was like, especially as they got a little longer in the tooth, it was like, oh, this just isn't believable. Like, you're telling me John died and set all this stuff up after he was dead and then choreographed this person coming, and, you know, this one felt a lot more believable. Like, oh, okay. Of course he knew this was or of course he set this up, or of course, you know, like this all actually makes sense because it's still just John, and then it's Amanda, you know, who's been there since I think it was the first one, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe the second one. Yeah, very, very early on. Because the first one was literally just the two guys, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, very, very early on. So, and then she kind of joined forces with him. Well, yeah, from a story standpoint, very early, but I think it was like 3 or 4 where she emerged as like, I'm taking over. So it's just the two of them, and there's some really inventive traps. And I read something that one of the directors said they wanted the games and the implements to feel like you could buy them at Home Depot. Like it wasn't super huge and extravagant. I mean, it definitely wasn't like low level cut your own leg off, that sort of thing, but it did have this like believable feel to it.
Okay.
Yeah, man, I didn't expect to like it, you know. But I
Spiral.
I hope other people do. Like, I think it's such a cool series, and I think there's a lot that they can do with it, because it also kind of takes just a tiny bit of a step back from like gore porn, like just a little bit. Torture porn. There you go. Yeah. Just a little bit, but other new movies. I spent a lot of time watching new movies, man. That's been my Shocktober pretty much. Pet Sematary Bloodlines.
I'm reading the book, so I'm gonna read the book. Well, I know that has nothing to do with the new show, but
I don't know actually. I don't know. This is technically a prequel to the movie. I don't know if any of this stuff is mentioned at all in the book or anything like that. But this is kind of a prequel to The Town. Like, how did the town get this way? And as Bloodlines implies, you know, some of these families go back to the founding of the town and what happened there. And to give you hints about that, one of our main characters is actually two of our main characters are Native Americans, and this town was founded in, you know, colonization days, let's say.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, it's not gonna blow up the world or anything, but it had some cool ideas. I mean, it still is Pet Sematary. There still is one of the characters, David Duchovny, his son comes home from the war, and he just ain't right. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you can pretty quickly tell. Oh, he buried him, right? He fucking buried him. Of course, he buried him.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a spoiler to say yes, he did. But it definitely has more of that storytelling around the town and the family and all that stuff. It's not just going for straight imitation of Pet Sematary. And yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. For the low price of free, right? Yeah, it's a movie.
Oh, I thought it was a TV series.
No, I did for the longest until I watched it. Actually, I did too. It's on Paramount Plus, so it's not not a super crazy barrier to entry there. And then the last one I can remember is VHS 85.
Oh, how's that?
Yeah, that one came out. I still have not finished 94.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was cool. It's not. It's been a long time since I've watched the VHS movies. I should probably go back and do that. Or no, I'm sorry. I finished 94. I did not watch 99.
That's right. Yeah, that's the newest one.
Yeah, it had just a little bit. It goes back to the more like experimental horror of the first one, right? Like it's not overtly. It's not trying to like just scare the shit out of you or anything like that. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like one of the first ones you see, is a group of friends out on the water on a boat. They're trying to water ski, and then all of a sudden they start taking gunshots, and many of these people are like shot the fuck up. And towards the end of this, everyone is dead. Guy holding the camera, the last dude he's talking to, they're all dead. Well, a couple seconds later, they all come back. They're well, not all of them. Most of them come back, and so they kind of figure like, well, we all went in the water. Those guys didn't go in the water, and they're still dead. Maybe it's the water. Well, whatever it is, like we're here now. Well, let's go get the fucking person who did that. So like that's your kind of not totally overarching storyline, but that storyline comes back a little bit, and it's that kind of horror where like you have to kind of think about it a little more, where you're like, oh dude, that would feel fucking weird, like you know, because they're not healed. Like this dude has like half his fucking brain missing, yet he's alive, and he's like what, this is not normal. Picking at his brain matter, It was enjoyable, in some way, and this is not necessarily negative about like 99, but it didn't hook me enough to finish it. But it gives me hope that they're going to keep going with this series, because I think so. I think they keep bringing people in, and they're just like, hey, go for it, just do something. It's kind of the same thing that the ABCs of Death did, even though that was a much shorter lived series. Like much of the shorts in those movies were just like really weird, but weird in a way that I can appreciate. Like they tried something, and that's kind of what this feels like. When they were doing like VHS 2, and I think there was a VHS 3, right? Like numbered 3.
Yes. Was that the viral one?
Maybe it was viral. I thought there was one that was actually numbered 3, but well, even if that is the case, they felt a little more formulaic after they got they started getting their feet under them, and it's like, okay, this is like the formula. At least what I can remember of the ones since then, like the 94 and 99 and all that stuff, like they seem to break that just a little bit. And I'm into it, man. I love a good what's the word? Anthology. I love a good anthology horror, And the way they package it up as like this VHS thing, and there's I don't want to say too much, but there's the overarching lines and the stories that come back and all that stuff. So
yeah,
very, very interesting stuff.
Nice.
The guy who made the most recent Hellraiser did one of the segments.
Oh, okay, from Hulu.
Yeah. I always like looking at those names, right? Like,
just to see.
let me just go back to the first VHS because that was definitely a banger. So the original VHS, Adam Wingard, who he did Your Next, which I personally love. He did The Guest, which not necessarily a horror movie, but I think a really good movie. He did The Blair Witch, and then he did Godzilla vs. Kong. So like he fucking made it. Ty West, you're very familiar with Ty West.
Oh yeah.
David Bruckner, who did Hellraiser, he was also in the first one. Joe Swanberg, who was in Your Next, and he's kind of been around for a while, but he was always kind of like a comedy guy. And then he came out with this. I want to say he did that. You remember the first one when they're at the motel, the one that spawned that siren offshoot. I think that was Joe Swanberg's, but I could be wrong.
I can see that.
And then the Radio Silence dudes did one, and they obviously went on to take over the Scream movies. You know, like there were definitely some bangers in that first one, and that was before many of those people had made a name for themselves. You know, like they'd all done movies. I think Ty West had done at least a few, but you know, he did The Sacrament after that. Obviously, X and Pearl and Maxine are coming up soon. Like, yeah. So it's almost like the freshman double XL, you know, the up and coming rappers sort of thing. All right, let's see who they put in VHS, and let's see what else they've done, and let's see where they go from here. You know.
Yeah, no, that'd be cool if they kept that going.
Yeah. I'm sure that I'm forgetting some stuff, especially on the movie side, but I watched the first episode of The Continental, that like mini series, the John Wick mini series. I think it's really cool. Yeah. I think it is really, really cool so far. I am impressed with Mel Gibson. Never thought I would say those words in the same sentence in my entire life.
Really?
Yeah. Wicked, right? Yeah, that's kind of it. I got a couple other things on the slate. I just watched The Boogeyman again. Have you watched that one yet?
Oh, no, I haven't watched that one yet.
Oh man, yeah. I just have to sing the praises of The Boogeyman one more time. It does my thing. It has the background stuff, and it does that. And I
miss every single one.
I bet I said it last time. It still my favorite monster design. Like it's right up there, right next to A Quiet Place. Like I thought those things in A Quiet Place were really cool, especially the first movie. The design of this thing, because they really tease it out, and I probably said this before, but the whole time I was watching it, I was like, oh, they're gonna show it. They always show it. It's Hollywood. They always show it, and inevitably it's gonna be disappointing. But no, it was really fucking. It's a really wicked monster thing, dude. It's wild.
Huh.
That just showed up on Hulu.
Yeah, so, I saw that. I was like, oh man, I really need to watch that one.
Yeah, I recommend it.
Oh, I'll get to it.
Yeah. Sure. All right, that was a lot of business that was not related to the ninth configuration.
Yeah, well, not that much to say about that.
Fucking weird. You got anything else before we get into the best horror movies ever made?
No. I think that's it.
Cool. All right, let's
don't have too much.
The best horror movies ever made, Jeff. The definitive list of currently the top 67 horror movies. Now. This is tough.
Yeah.
This is tough. This is tough.
Is it tough?
Here's where I'm coming at this from. It technically should be at the end because it's A, not really a horror movie. B, I don't think we liked it very much.
Yeah.
Do we really want to just have a new last movie forever?
No.
Like I think the Blair Witch 2 has a good chance of doing that, but I also think it has a chance of being topped. So I think we should take the fact that this is not necessarily a horror movie out of the picture, and we should just pretend that it is. Flaw in the science. I get it. It's a flaw in the science. We don't make the rules. but I think we should just rank this movie on its own merit and see where it goes. Because with that in mind, it is absolutely better than Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2.
Yeah.
I at least laughed at this
alone.
movie.
Yeah, and the acting was actually believable, so I agree on that one. 100%.
Is it a better Exorcist 2 than The Exorcist 2: The Heretic?
No.
No.
Because that one had James Earl Jones in it, and you can't beat that.
I feel like you can.
Nah, dude. As a cockroach man, you can't do it.
I had successfully blocked that out of my brain until you said cockroach man.
No, man. It's gonna make my back tattoo.
I think it's probably better than You Can't Kill Stephen King. And even I liked that movie more than you did.
Yeah, I guess it's more serious. It's more watchable, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they were trying something.
Yeah.
Well, don't get me wrong. You Can't Kill Stephen King was absolutely trying something.
I mean, yeah, it was just not.
It was trying successful. A lot of things. So then the final question, is it better or worse than Maximum Overdrive?
Worse.
Yeah?
Yeah, I would think so.
I don't remember enough of Maximum Overdrive, but I
remember I laughed more.
I laughed quite a bit at this movie.
It has a horror aspect to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think you're right. Because when I think about Maximum Overdrive, it's just kind of nothing. When I think of the ninth configuration, I'm like, oh man, that was disappointing. Like I wanted that to be better. Alrighty, well, our list has now ballooned to 68 movies. Congratulations to Tusk, remaining at the top, unbeaten for now.
It's gonna be hard
until next week, Jeff. The pressure's on you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, you got to pick a good one to balance out the bad one.
I'm picking a newer one.
Well, it doesn't mean it can't be a good one.
I mean, it might be.
I just watched a bunch of good new movies.
I've seen.
And then rounding out the back of our list here, Book of Shadows, The Blair Witch 2.
Ooh.
Another movie I felt was like bad on purpose.
Very on purpose.
Is what it is. All right, Jeff. You give me a hint.
I put it in the Discord chat.
You did. Okay, so
it did.
Let's see.
I hope you haven't seen it.
This movie, no, I've heard a lot about it.
Okay.
Without taking in mind the things I've heard, just when I saw the poster, and to be clear, I don't remember that much about the poster. This sounds like an 80s self-aware slasher movie. Like just based on like name alone. So it's gonna be kind of comedy slasher, not like scary movie levels, but honestly, I related in my brain to The Final Girls. As like you know, like some comedy, but also like some actually effective horror stuff. So
yeah.
I have heard good things, but I know nothing.
I have too.
I know nothing about it.
Nope. I'm going in blind.
Alrighty, Jeff. Well, hey, thanks for being here. Thanks for sitting through that movie with me.
Oh, never forget.
I guess we'll vet him a little more, even though you just said we're going in blind.
That
was the ninth configuration. Next week we will take a look at a new movie and hopefully set our sights on the top half of the best horror movies ever made list. But until then, thanks to everyone for listening. He's been Jeff. I've been Jordan. Hopefully we don't take so long to do the next episode next time. I sure say that a lot, don't I?
Yeah, I gotta set us up there a little bit.
I say that quite a bunch, but we'll be back when we're back. Until then, thanks y'all. See you next time.